mama's tired. Hello my friends, Kendra Cole here. Welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, we're doing it again. Here we are. If you are returning, I appreciate you coming back to hang out with me. I have racked my brain all week, like, what's the next best step for this channel and like the next video I should do? Because I had mentioned I have so many ideas and it's like, what idea is going to be best to do next? One major misconception when it comes to makeup is that makeup is expensive. I wouldn't necessarily call it a misconception because you're right. Last week I used a $50 foundation, which is really good, but it's $50 and I understand not everyone has $50 just to go out and spend on foundation. I usually don't either. That's kind of why I stressed last week why and how I got my makeup, but it's fun because every Christmas or every birthday or any time people are like, hey, what do you want for this event as a present? It's so easy for me to say makeup. It's an easy go-to. And of course, if there's other things I need more, actually this year was one of the first years I didn't ask for an eyeshadow palette for Christmas because I'm like, I have other things I really want more, and that's okay. I didn't need another eyeshadow palette, but it's something that it's so easy for me to be able to say, oh, hey, yeah, gift card, Sephora, all day, every day. Ulta, oh, I will take that all the time. So you can be smart about it, and there are things you can do about it when it becomes something you love to do. I feel like makeup doesn't have to be expensive. So I'm gonna get started on my face here, and I just wanna talk about how you can use makeup in a way that doesn't have to be expensive. Again, if you're a young mom like me and you just would rather go and spend $50 on my child than I would on a foundation, I'm with you. If you're a young college student or a high school student who has to use your own money to buy your own makeup, I feel you. So today is kind of what I'm calling a drugstore haul. I will be honest and say that not everything I have is necessarily something you find in a drugstore. So keep that in mind. I'll make sure to be very clear about what things are a drugstore, what things are something you might have to get online. However, all of them are drugstore prices. So keep that in mind as I'm going through this. Everything I'm having on my face today is going to be drugstore. Starting with my skincare. So I didn't bring my cleanser downstairs, totally my bad, but maybe I'll insert an image right here. It's the Roche-Posay, something like that, cleanser. It's incredible. It is by far one of my highest recommendations, especially if you have dry skin, especially if you, especially if you have dry skin or skin that gets irritated really easily. It has no fragrance. At the same time, though, it really cleanses your skin. It's some hydrating cleansers. After you cleanse your face, you still don't necessarily feel clean. This stuff is so good. So like I said, look at that picture. That's something that you can buy online. I want to say you can get it at Target too, but for me, I got it on Amazon and it came right to my door, and it's a huge thing. So it's like 15 bucks, and I've had this since I got it at the very beginning of the pandemic. So almost a year, and I'm not even halfway through with this thing. It's so good. And I use it morning and night. Now, sometimes I might mix in a different cleanser here and there, but for the most part, I've been using it morning and night. So, so good. Then I also today, because I did have a little bit of a breakout today because I didn't do my skincare yesterday. In my weakest moments. Sad day. So it happens when you don't take care of your skin, right? So I did go ahead and use this kind of as a spot treatment. I didn't put this all over my face, but it's a PHA toner from the INKEY list. This brand is so good. They're super cheap. They have really great products. They're not like the fanciest products in the world, but they're so good. So I use this. The PHA is a very, very gentle chemical exfoliant. So I picked that for if this was at nighttime, I would have picked something a little stronger, but because I'm out and putting makeup on during the day, I didn't want something super harsh. So I kind of use that just in my little problem areas here. And then of course, for my sunscreen, I am using the Neutrogena. This is the 50 SPF. I will be honest with you, this leaves a crazy white residue if you don't rub it in really good. So again, I got it rubbed in pretty good. So for me, it's not as bad, but I'm really light skinned. So if you are one of my darker skin friends here, this may not be the best. Mineral sunscreens that have zinc in it tend to leave a little bit of a white cast on your skin. So again, I rub mine in and it's not too bad. However, there are other ones in the drugstore that are a lot better if you have darker skin. Purito has some really, really good ones. This is one of my other favorite brands. This one that I had, the reason I didn't use this one today is because this one's only a 15% SPF. So sometimes I'll just use this as my moisturizer, and then it does have some extra SPF in it, so then I'll use that. But Purito is a Korean skincare brand, and they're so incredible. And they're really cheap, they're really reasonable, and I like use this whole thing. It's so good, but it leaves zero white cast, absolutely none. So I would have suggested this one. This is the Centella Green Level Unscented Sunscreen because it's only 15%. So definitely want something a little stronger, but check out their brand. Okay, so that's everything that's currently on my face. Again, I try to take it very, very seriously and make sure that from beginning to end here, that I'm only using drugstore priced items. So then I'm actually going to go to my primer. This is the Maybelline Master Prime by Base Studio. It's a hydrate and smooth primer. So it visibly smooths, primes skin with hydration. It's also very lightweight and doesn't clog your pores. So for me, again, I always like things that are a little bit more hydrating on my skin because I could use all the hydration I can get. If you want something that mattifies your skin, Wet n Wild has a matte photo focus primer that's really, really great. If you want something that fills in your pores, there's actually a really great dupe for the Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. It's like a putty, like if you look at it, it's like, I hit bottom on that one. This is really, really good, but it's pretty expensive. If you want a dupe on it, e.l.f. makes a putty primer, and it does a really great job of filling in your pores and kind of helping, especially if you have crater pores like I do. It really, really helps if you want something really smooth and filling. I today want a moisturizer. Then just like I did last week, I do like to kind of set my face before I go, and this is just the Lasting Fix Maybelline Setting Spray. To get it everywhere. Don't mind me as I have this thing and I keep it in here, and last week I'm just like, nah. I'm like, why don't I just use my fan? I know it's a little bougie looking, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so also just like last week, there are some things that will be a repeat just because they're a staple. Like, that's the thing. I have drugstore options for everything, but there's some drugstore that even though I have more expensive concealer, more expensive powders, I just tend to love using some of these drugstore products. So Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, just in some of my blue areas. Again, it's a little bit of a pink tint in case you didn't hear about it last week. In case you're new to my channel, you mean everyone. Everyone is new to your channel, Kendra. Everyone. Next is foundation, so I'll be able to use my foundation to really spread everything out here. Also, I'd like to know the brushes I'm using are also all a brand called Morphe, which again, they're not really drugstore. You can find them at Ulta or online, but their prices are really, really great. e.l.f. has some good stuff, but sometimes I just notice that my e.l.f. ones don't hold up really well. I've had these brushes. This is gonna be my 3rd year that I've had all of these brushes. And again, I use them every single day. they've taken a beating. I do also have some that you'll see me use later that are a TJ Maxx brand that I got from TJ Maxx that work really well as well. So again, not really drugstore, but drugstore price. I actually have two different foundations I love when it comes to drugstore. There's actually a whole bunch, and some that I've heard people rave about that I personally haven't tried yet. These are two of my personal favorites. If I'm going for more of a natural skin day, that means that I want it to be my skin, but better. So still very breathable. You might see some imperfections underneath and maybe a little discoloration, but it looks like your skin, just better. All day, every day, the CoverGirl BB cream. Now this one is the pink top. I actually prefer the blue top. They didn't have my skin tone this time, so I tried the pink one. The pink one's okay. Not nearly as good as the blue. So I'll insert a picture right here for you to kind of see what it looks like. It looks very similar, just blue. But it's a BB cream. It is so good. So BB creams are also moisturizers, so they're just like a tinted moisturizer. But this one does such a good job at covering up my imperfections, but again, making my skin look so breathable and like it's really my own skin. I will say that if you like a matte finish, that's not your go-to. Don't go with the BB cream. There might be some mattifying BB creams out there. Mattifying meaning like you just look really, you don't look dewy. It doesn't look very, I don't want to say very natural, but especially if you have oily skin, you tend to like your foundations more matte because it kind of mattifies some of your shiny areas. Like right now, you can see I'm very, very shiny. I'll get there because I am actually today going to use a mattifying foundation. Surprise! But it's so good. I just can't not use it. It's so good. So if you haven't heard of it, you're living under a rock. It's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is the jam. It is the jam. It is so good. And it's literally $4. $4. It's $4. How? I just don't understand. It's so good. And so anytime I want something really long lasting or something really mattifying, even if I have a $50 foundation sitting next to me, I'm gonna pick this guy because, oh, he's so good. He's so good. So just like I kind of have the same technique putting any foundation on. So I start with a brush and I go in and then I will go back in with a beauty blender and kind of blend everything out. I love my drugstore products, but none of them have a very good mirror. Sorry, bringing up just the mirror. I'm only using the Marc Jacobs mirror. So I will say this is a foundation that you really need to at least finish off with a beauty blender because it is so mattifying. You'll see every brush stroke. So I like to use the brush to kind of paint it on, literally. Sorry for not using a better example. But then I will go through with my beauty blender, just like I did last week. So next, these beauty blenders are by far the best beauty blenders I've ever used. And that includes the brand, the real brand beauty blender. I got them off Amazon. Beaky, Love Beauty, Love Beaky tools. I got all 5. So these 3 and my blue and pink one, all for like $10. Maybe it was $9. They are so stinking cheap. They're so good. And they like, if you can see the size difference between like, that's what they start off as dry and this is them with water. Holy smokes, they're so good. If you want cheap beauty blenders that don't cost you an arm and a leg, they're so good. And you'll know because they have amazing reviews on Amazon as well. So that helps. Okay, so I have all my foundation on. Next, I'm going to do my Hydrating e.l.f. concealer. This guy, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. So I'm just using this one more for brightening, especially those bags under my eyes because Mama's tired. I mentioned that. Mama's tired. Going back in with my Morphe concealer brush. It's actually not even really a concealer brush. It's the M173. I don't even know what kind of brush it is, but it's like covered in concealer right now, but kind of like a mini foundation brush, which I love. So I don't necessarily just want to sit here and do my makeup for you and talk about these awesome products. Of course, it's really great and I really love them. And I want to show you how you can achieve a really awesome bomb makeup look with drugstore products or with drugstore prices. But I also wanted to just mention a couple of things. First off, if I mentioned last week that if makeup is something you don't want to spend money on, then don't. Again, why do makeup? Why waste? Because you're right, makeup is real expensive. It can get, I mean, all of this together, each individual item is really cheap, but right here is probably $100 worth of products, right? So maybe if I didn't have like 2 foundations and 2 concealers, can I make do with 3 of these products and have a pretty awesome look too? Yeah, of course. And it would be more like $30 or $40. But $30 or $40 is too much money to even spend on something that you feel, again, is an obligation, an expectation, a worldly, oh, you need to wear makeup. Why? Why should I spend all of that money to wear makeup when I don't want to, right? So for me, I don't view it as, like I talked about last week, an expectation. It's something I genuinely enjoy doing. So I view it, because I hear all the time, oh, makeup's so expensive, you spend so much money on makeup. If I have to go without makeup for a week, 2 weeks, till payday, I'll go without makeup. I'm a mom, again, right? If it means my kid has to eat, I'm gonna pay for my kid to eat. And that's fine. I'll use what I have, even if it's not my favorite, or I will go to work without makeup on. That's an option too. So that's never a problem for me. I never would sacrifice paying my electric for my makeup, right? However, I do feel like a lot of people spend money on their hobbies, correct? I mean, is that wrong? If you're an artist, you spend money on your paints and your paintbrushes, your canvases. If you are a runner, you spend money on your running shoes and your insoles. Maybe one of those, you know, an iPhone watch, an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, something like that, because you enjoy running. If you play a sport, you're gonna buy equipment and soccer balls and cleats and whatever else you might need, right? For every hobby, we have money that we are going to put towards that, whatever that might be. So that's kind of how I personally feel about makeup. Again, if I don't have the money, I don't spend it, just like you're not gonna go out and buy something for your hobby if you don't have the money, right? Because again, to me, it's fun, it's not an expectation. So when it becomes an expectation, it's like, I have to get foundation because I don't have foundation to wear tomorrow. I know I don't have money, but I have to because otherwise then I'm not gonna have foundation on. And for me, it's like, oh, I enjoy wearing foundation. Oh, I don't have any? Okay, looks like I don't have foundation to wear tomorrow. So, you know, there are by far, so many more important things in the world than makeup. We all know that. And I will be the first to say that there are more important things in the world than makeup. But for me, it's something I love to do and it's enjoyable. So I don't mind spending the money on it. However, just because I'm okay with spending money on it does not mean that I go and spend a lot of money on it. Sometimes I will go once a month and I'll buy a mascara. And then maybe the next month I'll go and buy my foundation. Again, when your mascara is $8, it's really not that big of a spend, right? So it's very different than going to Sephora and spending $30 or $40 on a mascara, which you can spend. If you have that money, it's your money. Go for it. Spend it. Like you would spend it for your hobby. You would spend it on a pair of shoes or on that new shirt you have, right? So like, why would you not, if you want the nice mascara, the expensive mascara, of course, go spend your money. It's your money. No one can tell you how to spend it. And no one should make you feel guilty for spending it the way that you want to, because they're going to waste their money on other things that you wouldn't waste your money on, right? So, but I feel like it's really important to know that makeup doesn't have to be expensive, and that me spending money on makeup isn't any different than someone spending money on another hobby. Again, it's a luxury, right? Hobbies are luxuries. If you don't have the money to crochet, you're not gonna do it, right? So I'm with you, but for me, I just feel like if you like it and you have the money to spend, go for it. And there have been many, many times in my life that I haven't had money to buy my makeup, and that's okay. I survive and I go to work, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? So next I have blush. I've said before that I love me a cream blush. So Honest Beauty is my girl. She's so good. I just love her so much. But I wanted to show you something a little different today. As much as she's my girl, she's my rock, I also wanted to show you, this is actually what I had been using before I found the Honest Beauty, and it's the Maybelline Cheek Heat. I'll be honest, a little of this goes a real long way. And with this, I like to be very precise, so I use my hands just so I can get right where I want that blush to go, and so it doesn't get too crazy. Don't get crazy. Alright, so now you can kind of see, just brings me back to life a little bit, especially with this mattifying foundation. It's very full coverage, so it takes away a lot. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with this CoverGirl Advanced Radiance. This is what I actually use all the time for under my eyes. Whether it's a drugstore day, a luxury day, whatever day it is my go-to. It just brightens my under eyes, and see, you can already see like it covered up that spot so good. And so this is a very finely pressed powder. So it's very compact, you can kind of see. And the thing is, like a foundation powder, so a lot of people will just use this as a foundation. That's not my life. So I have way too dry skin to just use this by itself. But I do not personally like leaving my foundation without being set, because for me it feels like it doesn't last very long, and then it gets everywhere, it gets on my clothes, it gets on, if we're in a pandemic, so I can't hug anybody, but if I hug someone, it gets on them. So I always like to set my foundation. So I use that as my like under eye, around my nose, because those are some of my most oily areas that crease the most. But I'm also gonna set my face just like I did before, just like I did my last video, but I'm gonna use this guy right here, the Airspun. It is a loose powder, a setting powder. When you open it up, you're gonna be like, Grandma? It reminds me, so not so much my great-grandmother. I was very blessed in my life to get to know my Grandma Richardson. She was my great-grandma, and she, like, when I smell this, like, I wish I could just be like, smell my grandma. It smells just like Grandma Richardson. It's so funny. Miss Maddie Richardson. But it kind of has that old lady smell. I promise it goes away. So it's very perfumed. There might be an unscented one now. I'm not sure. But because I've had this one for quite some time, it lasts a very long time. And so it's very mattifying. But I promise the perfume smell goes away. But for me, it's always nostalgic because I just love, I'm like, oh, it makes me think of my grandma. I got this one from Meijer. I'm pretty sure Target has it. I know Ulta has it. But this giant thing is like $5, I want to say, maybe a little bit more. But this thing has lasted me forever. So I've also been wearing blue light glasses. I just found through the pandemic, I've been using screens so much that my eyes have started to twitch. I'm like, what's going on? And it was my sister-in-law. She was like, hey, have you thought maybe it's blue light? I was like, I haven't even thought about that. So I got these blue light glasses, and they're so good. They've saved my eyes. And so I now understand the struggle of some of my glasses friends who wear makeup. this right here is the best way for you to deal with your eyeglasses hitting your, or if you wear sunglasses anytime like during the summer, if you just put some extra powder right there, at first it will look a little crazy, eventually you'll kind of soak in, but sometimes I just don't even care. I'm like, I'll wipe it off and it's fine. But if you put some extra powder right there, even if you wipe it away, it will still be a little bit of an indent, but then if you go in and just tap right there and go tap, 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 that powder will kind of reshift and it will look like you don't have those little imprints right there anymore. So I had to learn that tip because of my blue light glasses. So hopefully that helps some of my friends who wear glasses. So for my brows today, I did wash my hair. So my hair just looks a little darker anytime I wash it. So I'm gonna kind of do my brows a little darker than I normally do them. And I'm actually gonna use, this is Collab Beauty, which everyone's like, who the heck is Collab Beauty? Exactly. So Collab is actually Sally Beauty's brand, makeup brand. So if you've ever been to Sally's for like dyeing your hair or any other hair products, they do have some makeup there. They also have a pretty bomb mascara that's really, really good. But my cousin worked at Sally Beauty, and so for Christmas got me the eyeshadow palettes, and I had never really used their eyeshadows before, but I don't necessarily love them for every look, but I'm going to use this brown shade right here. It's just a little bit more of an auburn color, so I'm going to use that to fill in my brows. This is the step of my routine that I just try to blow through because I hate doing my eyebrows. So it's really just to fill it in a little bit, give them a little color just so they stand out a little bit from my skin, but I don't spend a long time on it. Nor do I spend a lot of money on thousands and thousands of brow gel and brow pencils and brow this and that. So next I'm going to go ahead and dust off some of my powder. I also love this Morphe brush. E48, oh man, it's just perfect for getting off my under eye. Hello, welcome back. More zoomed into my face. So I'm kind of excited because I wanted to try an eyeshadow palette I have not tried yet before from a brand that I've only tried one product from them. Oh, that's why, 2 products from them. So when it comes to Drugstore, that's probably the biggest complaint I hear is, Kendra, Drugstore doesn't have any good eyeshadow. You have to spend all this money on an eyeshadow palette because Drugstore isn't very good, which I see that argument. But there's this one brand that, again, not really from a drugstore. You can't just go to a Target, a Meijer, or whatever and pick this brand up. I do believe Ulta has some of it, but also you can just get it online. Oh, I know for a fact Ulta has it because that's where I got it from. So I am going to try ColourPop eyeshadows. This is the first time. So I've tried their blush. Their blush was really, really good. I love the color of it. It's a really good drugstore blush. But also I've tried their mascara, and actually their mascara was really good too. I was kind of surprised by that. But I have been dying to try some of their eyeshadows. So this here was, I want to say $14. If I'm lying to you, I'll make sure to put the price somewhere on the screen, but I'm pretty sure it was $14, and that gives you 9 eyeshadows. So for the most part, that's a pretty darn good price. So opening up for the first time. So this is the Nude Mood. I do have an eyeshadow palette that I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after that I can't wait to show you that is not a nude, I promise. But I feel like for a lot of you, if you're starting makeup, nude eyeshadows are just an easy place to start. Or if you're somebody who is like, oh, I'm good at eyeshadow, I do eyeshadow all the time, but I don't wear it all the time, and to wear it to work, to just all of a sudden start wearing it to work might be a little weird. Start with doing some cool nude dramatic looks. People aren't going to notice as much because they're not as crazy of colors. You can get to the colors eventually. So I'll show you, I can't wait to show you that one. But this one, I'm so excited. So let's open her up. I'm gonna take the little plastic part out. Ooh, there's some glitters. Ooh, ah. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I cannot wait. Okay, so I'm going to do a different nude look than I did last week. So I'm gonna go into Bare to Wear. That's this like really light brown there. For me, for my skin tone, it's a great transition color. If you're a darker skin tone, it might be the same color as your skin, or it may not be something you can use for your crease. But for me, I'm gonna do here. I will say it has a little bit of kickback in the pan. That doesn't bother me, other than I have to go all the time, but for the most part, it doesn't bother me. Yeah, that's a pretty brown. I like that. So when it comes to blowing out this eyeshadow look, I start in the crease because that's where I want my most intense color. And then I just kind of buff her out around. I don't mind if I try to avoid a little bit of this area. I don't want it to be dark by any means, but I will buff it out a little bit too there, just because it's gonna really help it look super blended later. So once I get it kind of that same color blown out, I like to kind of just go in one more time on the crease, just darkening it up a little bit more, but it's the same color. So it's just darkening it by using the same color. So pretty. I really like that. That blended out really easily. Again, for $14.99, like that's so nice. So I am I'm gonna see if this Neutral color, this one, it looks a little darker than that one there, but not like really. And this one has some sparkles in it. I might still use that one, but I don't love using shimmers in my crease, but just because I feel like it breaks it down a little bit more. But I do think I'm gonna try to wear it. I'm gonna try to use as many colors as I can without looking psycho. So pretty. Again, this just kind of goes to show, like, you can spend a lot of money on an eyeshadow palette, and eyeshadow palettes can last you a really, really long time. Obviously, there's expiration dates, but I'm with you. I'm not always like, oh, it's expired, throw it out, as long as it's not affecting my eyes and it's not like 10 years old. If you do have 10-year-old eyeshadows, it might be time to toss them. Sorry, not to be that guy, but if they're 3 years old, I'm kind of like, maybe even 5, whatever. But if they're not irritating your eyes or making you break out, for the most part, I think they're okay. I'd be a lot more picky with my eyeliners, just because those are going closer to your eye and sometimes even in your waterline. But for the most part, eyeshadows aren't going in your eye. So as long as they're not irritating your skin, they're probably fine. So I am actually gonna go into this Bluffin' color. It's really, really light. And I'm just gonna blend it up here a little bit just to soften this edge. So my last matte color I'm going to use, again, this is kind of very similar to what I did last week. Honestly, this is very similar to just what I do with my eyeshadows. Now, there are other things that I'm going to show you, like a half cut crease, or like they call sunrise, which you focus the color, the lighter color in the middle. But once you get your formula down, this is how I do it, step by step, the colors can be exchanged. So I'm going to just tap this one to the side here. So I'm really going to pack it in there first, and then I'll go in with my other brush to blend her out. The first step, especially with a dark color, is you want to pack it on. Otherwise it'll get really patchy. Maybe not for every eyeshadow, but especially if you're working with a cheaper formula. I don't mean cheaper as in like you're cheap, but like just less expensive. Monetarily less expensive. That's a really good base. I think what I'm gonna do, sorry, that color I just put in my crease was the Moody. It was the dark one. Mad Eye Moody. I should probably also mention, I'm a big nerd. Harry Potter is my jam. So I think what I'm gonna do, because I have these two, both of these two here, you can kind of see them, are very similar to another color, but they have some gold sparkle in them, and I'm obsessed with this gold sparkle. So I think I'm gonna pack a little bit of these. If you're using an eyeshadow that isn't a pressed glitter, or something that's like mostly a matte eyeshadow with a little bit of glitter in it, it's always best to just pat it on and not to blend it. I mean, maybe blend the edges an itty bitty bit, but you really want to try avoiding shifting around the eyeshadow too much because you'll lose the colors. So now I'm actually going to go with my finger, and I'm going to use the next one kind of here. Those are really pretty. I really like those. But there is no way I'm going to look at this glitter right here and not put it on my eye. Not gonna happen. And then I think I'm gonna put this one more in my inner corner kind of area. So I'm also just gonna use my fingers for this. So this is something that I feel like for most glitters, my finger works the best. So I am gonna, that bluffin' color, that was like the light cream color, I am gonna just put in my inner corner before I put on this other glitter, just so it has something behind it. I'm really glad that I put that other color under there because it really just makes it pop, I think. So then I'm gonna take my finger that I haven't used yet, and I'm gonna go into that wink wink, and I'm gonna pat it into that inner corner. It's so pretty. It's such a pretty glitter. I love it. So now I'm gonna do my under eye. I'm gonna use this brush for the browns and this brush for the lighter color, and then I am gonna do just a little bit of the gold underneath. But so I'm actually gonna start backwards over here. So I'm gonna start with the darkest moody color. So I'm gonna do move on to my eyeliner mascara, but I did want to say, like, after trying this new ColourPop, it's so good. Like, it's so pretty. I can't wait to try other looks with it and just see like what all I can do. But my eyes look glamorous. They look like I'm going to a red carpet event, right? And I literally used a $14 eyeshadow palette. Just saying. I'm so embarrassed to even show this on screen because she's well used and well loved. She's by far my favorite eyeliner though. She's creamy. I like her chunkiness. I like her chunky. But it's a brown liner from L'Oreal. I don't even know if they sell it anymore. So I don't tend to go all the way to my inner corner with my dark eyeliner. Some people enjoy that, some people like that look. I personally really like to let my inner corners be light. So I'm actually then gonna go in with this Wet n Wild white liner. And that's what I'm gonna use in my inner corner waterline. Same mascara as last week, still one of my favorites. So that right there is 2 coats of mascara. Red carpet look for $14.99 plus $8, under 20 bucks. All right, so now I'm just gonna finish off the skin really quick. I promise it'll be really fast. Butter bronzer. I've literally hit pan. Ugh, this stuff is my holy grail. It is so good. I will buy butter bronzer for the rest of my life. It's just so good. On to blush. So I did have the ColourPop that I just wanted to show you. I do really, really like this color. I think it's really great for the fall. It's just like a very peachy, corally fall color to me. For me right now, I'm kind of just wanting to do something more pinky with my look. So this is the Milani powder blush. It kind of looks like a flower. She's real pretty. Just like the perfect color pink that I like for blush, because I'm not like super into super pale pink, but sometimes I just like a girly pink, especially if I'm going really matte. I feel like this is something I like when I'm using a lot of color because it kind of blends into my bronzer really well. But this is just so pink and girly and soft and pretty. I love her. I love her. Have I mentioned that I like these products? I just do. They're just so good. And again, I really just don't spend that much money on them. So last week I used the Wet n Wild highlight. It's one of my favorites in the whole world. And I wanted to give you a different option. And again, I'm kind of going with the pinky look here. So this one is the Master Chrome. It's very sparkly, so I will give you that. This is something that if you don't like a super sparkly highlight, it may not be your jam. Definitely go with more of the Wet n Wild. It's a little more subtle, but I'm like, you know, let's go big, right? So Pixie, I will say this is probably like one of my more expensive items on this table because Pixie can just be a little bit more expensive, but I also got, look how big this bottle is. It is like significantly bigger. There's a smaller version that's not as expensive, but I'm like, I love it so much. I'll spend the extra money. Highlight brush, I love this brush too. So this is definitely one that I like to just take a little bit off of. Oh, but it sure is pretty. It's just very sparkly. I don't know. Let me see if I can, you see it has just a very pretty glow. I really like the pink one. The other ones are good too. I just feel like for me, I do tend to have a little bit more pink skin. So this one, although sparkly, still kind of like blends in with my blush really well. See, you kind of see. It's very, very pretty. It definitely looks like highlight. It's not like, oh, your skin has a glow. It's like, oh, your highlights are really pretty. Thank you. Thanks, I like it. It's also a very pretty inner corner because it just has that really just stunning rose gold kind of feel to it. One more thing, and that is our lips. So this is where the Morphe comes back into play. I really do love Morphe lipsticks. I just feel like they are really creamy, really pigmented. So I debated on just doing this nude color. I have another that's kind of a little bit more of a, it's still nude, but it's kind of like a mauve nude or like a magenta nude. I don't know. I'm just going to tap a little bit of this onto. So once I do that, then I'm just going to go in with the tools God gave us and blend it all together. So again, still very nude, but it just adds a little bit of color to it that I kind of just really like. So we're done, we did it. So here's my look. All drugstore from beginning to end. I understand that not everyone can spend a lot of money on makeup. I am one of those people. I'm a young mom, and when it comes to spending money, I want to spend it on my daughter. I want to spoil my husband. I don't always necessarily want to go and spend money on me. But I feel like, back to what I said last week, that you also have to fill your own cup. And if this is something you enjoy and something you love, then it's okay to spend the extra few dollars, and you can find good stuff even in a drugstore. So I hope this kind of inspires you a little bit, helps you see some different types of makeup that maybe you haven't seen before, but these are products that I live and breathe and swear by. I would not suggest something to you if I hadn't 100% foolproofed gone with it. I will say this one was my very first time trying, so I'm not 100% sure how it will wear, but I can just tell by how pigmented it is now that it's gonna last me for most of my day. So I called this a win. This palette, beautiful. I know that ColourPop, just like any department store, like any brand, can be hit or miss. So keep that in mind. Just because you love one product from a brand doesn't mean you'll love every product, but these are all products I personally really love. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope you hit the like button down below. It really helps my videos and helps me know that, oh hey, this is content you guys really enjoy. So it's a great way of communicating with me. Also, there's a subscribe button. I believe it's over here, but maybe it's over here, depending on somewhere over here. Somewhere down here, there's a big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit that if you want to see more content and more things from me, because again, I am only getting started, so I really hope that you want to come along for the journey. There's also a little bell icon next to that subscribe button that you want to make sure you click and hit watch all, so otherwise it'll only give you a few suggestions, which because it'll have so many videos, it may not pop up all the time. So hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and I really hope you come back and see what I have in store next week. Like I said, I have lots of more goodies to show you, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope you find something that makes you smile. Have a great day. Bye.